Hi everyone, welcome back. If you want to support me, please press like and subscribe. Okay, the last one. I just see so many people who don't see this. It takes a while to sink in. It doesn't make sense to their brain. Here's an x. It's actually a function. This is an expression here, or I should say a function with an x in it. There's an x here and there's an x there. And in between the e to the x and the brackets, there's a multiplication, there's a times there. So we've actually got a function multiplied by another function, and everyone talks about that. And being a multiplier, they talk about it being the product rule. So most of you should have already seen the product rule before. And here's where I can cause a bit of chaos. There are so many ways to write the product rule. If I have a look at what's going on with this one here, I call the whole first section, I call that u, the whole first function, and I call the second one v. Now most people do that, lots and lots of people have a u and a v. When I was at school, we learned it as, still as u and v, but we talked about the u dx and the v dx and all sorts of things. After a few years teaching, it dawned on me one day that I can just write v, u, v. So I call it vuv, talk about vuv. Whereas I was at school, I wrote it as uvu, u, v, vu. The dash goes on the end there for both of them, and we've got a plus. So if you haven't got on the formula sheet and you need to memorise it, the other reason I use vuv is when I get to the quotient rule, which I'm not doing an example of here today, is I keep it as vuv with a minus, with a subtraction in the middle. Let's have a look what we've got. So the v is that whole section there. So that's a 3x minus 1 to the power of 4. There's a multiply in between, and we've got u dash. So this first bit here, if we differentiate 5e to the x, it's just a fluke over the same as that. It stays the same. So that's a 5e to the x. Now we write the first section, which is also 5e to the x. Now we're differentiating the last bit. This is where people have trouble. Here we had a chain rule where it got more complicated. This has a chain rule inside of the product rule. So let's have a look at that section. Maybe I need to cover over what's here. If I just had that question there, I'd go 4, leave the brackets the same, 3x minus 1 to the 3, and then I always talk about multiply by 3, and I put my little red arrow on to say don't forget to multiply by 3. I've had student after student and marking assessment after assessment where people get that correct, they get that correct, they get that correct, they get that correct, but they forget to do that times by 3. It's almost like you need to put some little arrows to it and say don't forget, do anything you can, get your brain to not forget to put that part in there. And the rest of it's algebra. So it would be nice if they said don't simplify and you can just leave it like that. But I'm going to go further with my simplification. I'm going to put 5e to the x first with a bracket with the 3x minus 1 to the 4. And this is where it gets longer. If you know what you're doing, just don't watch the rest. Here's going to be 3 4s are 12 or 5 4s are 20 times 3 is 60. We've got this e to the x and we've got this bracket of 3x minus 1 to the 3. And the big question is, do you go further? And I keep nagging about the most commonly forgotten piece of maths is common factors. Especially when you're factorising all the time. And the most commonly forgotten is common factors. We've got a 5 in here, which is in common there. We've got an e to the x here, which is in common there. So we're looking at the two sections that are added together. It's like here's the first term, here's the second term. What's in the first term that's in the second term? So we can take out a 5. Now, often I like to write square brackets, but I'm not going to go there yet. I can take the 5 out, or I shouldn't say take the 5 out, I can remove the 5. Then there's an e to the x I can remove to the front. Then here's the complicated part. There's a power of 4 on this one, there's a power of 3 on that one. That means I can remove 3x minus 1 to the power of 3. So out of this one, I've got the 5, I've got the e to the x, and I've got all of that except for the last one of these. Now a lot of people do go square brackets, and I'm going to go square brackets for a moment and leave inside the 3x minus 1. Could put a bracket around if I wanted, but it's only to a power of 1, so I don't need to put it there. So look over to this one. We need to ask the question 5 watts is 60. So we've got a 12. The e to the x is moved to the front. And all of that's moved to the front, and we're nearly there. And some of this square bracket, just to make it, sometimes the square brackets add to the appearance, or they stop people from doing silly mistakes. And if you don't already know, inside brackets are those, and then if we've got more complicated, like 3 plus, I don't know, let's do 4 minus 2 times 3. First set of brackets are these, and they're actually called parentheses. These ones in real life are actually the rule brackets, but over time we call everything brackets. So if I wanted something out here like 5 minus that, so I'd go that one first, times that, and I'd go 3 plus that answer, get all that answer and 5 minus. And the last one, by the way, is these ones, which we refer to as braces. So maybe a lot of it's forgotten by a lot of people, but there is an order of operation to it. You can't really put it on BIMDAS. Let's have a look what's left. I've got a 5e to the x, 3x minus 1 to the 3, and this last bit here is going to be 3x plus 11. And you could fiddle around, you could write that first if you wanted to, but that's gone all the way. Pretty crazy. Really, in reality, all I want you to see is the multiply there. There's your first function, there's your second function. This is a chain rule. Nice if you like to write it as verb, and I'll put the dashes on the end and make it a plus, and then put the things in to write the answer in. I hope it helps. If you're enjoying it, please let your friends know, spread the word. Thank you.